break of day, the end of the Sabbath where she could move. And at first light, she followed by the other women, hurried to the tomb where Jesus was laid to attend to his body. Even death could not stymie her devotion to the one who had changed her life. Yet the tragic events of Jesus' death, and now the perplexity of the empty tomb, she was confused. All this just heightened her confusion. It somehow deepened her sense of loss and grief and despair. Here Peter and John, they go back to their homes. They leave Mary standing there alone with her sorrow. Verse 11, it says she stood outside the tomb crying. The word literally means to wail aloud. That kind of cry that comes from your innermost being and heaves forward. That cry of grief, that cry of despair, that cry of hopelessness. Imagine the scene. A woman who is so distraught, so filled with grief, that when she sees two angels sitting in that burial chamber, it seems to make no impression on her. She shows no sign of either fear or amazement. And their job is but to ask, why are you crying? Why are you crying? And her answer in verse 13 stands out. They have taken my Lord away, and I don't know where they have put him. They have taken away my Lord, and I don't know where they have put him. If you look at her deep, unsettling distress, it's rooted in far more than just the passing of one that she loved and held dear. But rather, this is a person who is experiencing the loss of all she holds dear. All she came to know and to believe about God, the faith that had been awakened in her when Jesus cast out those 7 demons. It's not just the loss of a man or a teacher or a rabbi. It's the loss of her faith. It's a loss of God. She has no idea how to reclaim God and to reclaim her faith. If you take this image of Mary, that sense of loss, the tragic distress of God being removed from her life, I want you to think about it. Maybe you're here today. Doesn't make any difference if you're here every Sunday, or if you're visiting, or you're just coming on Easter time. But you're here. And there is a sense deep in your being in which someone or something has taken away your Lord. Has taken away your Lord. Something has snatched away your faith and robbed you of your relationship to God. It could be sin, a habit or a lifestyle that stands between you and a holy God. It could be a relationship, a person who has diverted your attention from the Lord. It could be pride, which will not allow you to admit the expanse that exists between you and your Maker. It could be masked hurt and pain, an injury so great that your ideal and image of God has been banished from your life. Or it could be circumstances that simply left you with a flood of emotions that you don't know where to find him. Like Mary. Whatever the reasons, it could be many different things, but the effects of which remain the same. You find yourself absence of faith, void of faith, with this great vacuum in your relationship with God. Regardless of what you say to your family or your friends, you know that it exists. I will never forget my own experience of grief, not merely because it's difficult to lose someone, and you don't understand it until you go through it, but the impact, the effect it had on my relationship with God. My dad passed away in 1980. Only 17 days after suffering a stroke, in which he should not have died from. He died, and I can say that, grief did not consume my life. It filled my life. I felt that I was dealing with it. We had family. We were together. Nevertheless, I don't think I even realized how numb I had become because of grief's effect. Throughout 1980, 1981, after Chris and I got married in 81, I felt this kind of anesthesia in my spirit that was brought on by that loss. And it was the first time in my life that I ever felt distant from God. Not because of sin, but rather because of grief. My Lord had been taken away, and I didn't know where to find him. I felt that way. Inevitably, I had to let go of the grief and reach out to God simply by faith. Not by emotion, but by faith. And in some way, some of you may be at that very point of despair, that sense. Yet, like Mary outside the tomb, in the midst of this despair and perplexity, a voice can cut through the confusion and speak your name. Call your name. In a way that no one else, not a parent or a spouse or a child. A way in which it touches you so deep, so deeply. Just as Jesus spoke and said, Mary, Mary. Mary immediately recognized that voice. Not because of the sound, but rather because of the spirit within her was quickened and awakened. And she turned and said, oh, teacher, teacher. Let me tell you this morning that beyond the point of despair lies that moment in which hope is awakened through the revelation of God's presence in our lives. Whether we have never known the Lord and the Spirit is wooing us into that relationship with God, or we have confessed Him for a number of years, yet